Everything seems to be under control for the moment. A few ice bombs scattering themselves around the place. Water bombs, in fact. Those water bombs do cause the waterlogged debuff, which is what you have to clear by running into the fire. Looks like we are going for phase 2. There we go. Now, the key mechanic of this phase, which I assume is also the same in heroic mode, is that you're going to see these tornadoes around the screen. When you walk into a tornado, you're going to gain a buff, and you need that buff in order to float above an earthquake that's coming in.
Yep.
However...
Now there's this frost orb spawning to my left. That's basically heroic mode ability.
Ah, there you go. However...
It's chasing our Death Knight.
We'll keep that the hell out of there. So there's the Quake right now, and now they're going to have to pick up a new debuff, well, or buff, whichever you want to call it. And these little vortexes on the ground right here, they give you a debuff called Grounded. Now, once Grounded is down, that means that you're not going to take massive damage from the electrical storm that's coming in very soon.
Yep, that's correct.
You also have the...
Lightning rods.
Yes, that's unpleasant. That's like engulfing magic, but without any of the fun stuff, isn't it?
No, it just makes you... like the boss does chain lightning, and it chains to other people as well, if you're standing close by.
Yeah, so it's a case of getting the hell away from them. So similar to engulfing magic in that respect, but it's not just a spamming AoE every time you're casting.
I'm sort of just trying to save mana in this phase, so I would have full mana when we enter in the last phase, since that's where it's all about.
Well, so that's when you can press 2 a lot, basically.
Now, yeah, that's where I can press 2 a lot. Now I'm sort of pressing 3 as well quite a bit.
Are you sure you're okay with that?
I think I might be, though. It's starting to get already difficult on the WoW standards.
Yeah, absolutely. Using 2 fingers as an arcane mage is extremely brutal. You're getting fairly close to pushing them into phase 3 right now. Everyone looks to be just fine. Saving a little bit of mana. There goes the Frost Orb.
My mana is quite fine. Frost Orb seem to have been dodged quite well this far.
Yep, seem to be clearing this content.
It's going to be transitioning now, yeah.
Yep, here we go. This is the transition to phase 3. This is where things start to get a little bit hectic. A lot of abilities, a lot of damage, and it's still
I got Frost Orb Pursue now as well. Nice. This is the one where you would wipe the raid if this happened, basically on the first version of this boss.
Ouch.
But now it has been fixed and it was good.
Thank God, that's a terrible bug. Now, the Elemental Monstrosity is only starting with 25% HP, simply because they've done so much damage to it initially. So this should be fairly simple, but there's a lot of ground attacks to deal with, a lot of random raid damage.
Now we just got Bloodlust, and now is the damage time.
Yep. Hit that number 2.
Yeah.
Firebomb's coming in.
Gonna be pretty much hitting that for the whole fight now.
Yep. Number 2 is being hit. I can guarantee it. A lot of number 2s going down right here. Arcane Blast, there's the quick lift right there. 15% on the Elemental Monstrosity and starting to fall rapidly. That's 1 death. That actually would be the first in a boss encounter so far. Back on his feet now, though. A little bit of combat res action.
Need to invis here because my threat went so high.
So much spam, you would have pulled the boss, which is unpleasant. And your mana reserves falling incredibly rapidly.
Now we're going for a bit more mana, so we can go for a bit more blast spam. Yep. I got Gravity. This is unfortunate. This lowers my damage a lot.
Oh, I'm sure you'll survive.
I hopefully will.
Bit of damage coming in right there. Elemental Monstrosity on 4%, 3% falling nicely.
Should be going down.
Yep, a little bit of fire bombs. Shouldn't be too much of a problem. 2% going down right now, and very stable right here for Paragon. Another death.
Yeah, it's dead.
But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Well, you made it look easy.
I think we're a bit lucky as well on this.
Okay, we are moving through to Cho'Gath right now. You're currently watching, by the way, if you just tuned in and have no idea what's going on, you are currently watching the Paragon Live Raid, as brought to you by SteelSeries, Asus, and NordraSillRadio.com. Get some keybinds sorted out, and not too much trash to go through to get to the next bit.
No, there's actually not a lot of trash in here. There's only like 2 packs.
Yep, nice and easy.
That's the damage from the last phase, and Arcane Mage is pretty powerful because I'm actually number 12 and I didn't really do that much in the first 2 phases, but last phase Arcane Mage is like one of the best DPS since, as you saw, it's standing still and really going for the damage.
Yeah, when you're able to do that. And I suppose Arcane Mage really...
That's the last phase damage, I think.
Ooh.
That's Warlock still first. 2 Arcane Mages, the main ones. Even Alt Arcane Mage 600 damage. Warriors are extremely good here. I'm normally the highest DPS here when I'm playing my Warrior, but it's just as good as Arcane Mage at least here. Warriors got massive cooldowns as well. We don't seem to be having any Warriors in the raid now though, so...
That's the last phase damage for you, folks.
Yeah.
Doing at number 6 there.
Yeah.
Not bad.
2 Arcane Mages, 1 and 2. 2 Warlocks, Boomkin, Alt Arcane Mage, and Shadow Priest, 2 Death Knights, Feral Druid.
Not too bad at all. So a few trash bags to deal with here, and then we'll be going on to the heroic version of Cho'Gall. Very unpleasant boss, so I've been told. So, tell me a little bit about the differences between normal and heroic mode Cho'Gall.
Well, basically, on heroic mode, Cho'Gall spawns these fire elementals, which he does in a normal mode, and they need to be killed, otherwise they're going to destroy the raid and the tank. That's most likely the biggest change, together with the numbers. And then also in the last phase, instead of just spawning these tiny tentacles, it spawns a massive one, which on spawn knockbacks people off the spot, and also does damage. So it's not good to stand in them, really.
Clear up the last pack right here, and then we can get started on Cho'Gall. And then after that, of course, assuming that Paragon is able to down Cho'Gall, we'll be looking at Sinestra, boss that is only available after you've defeated everything in heroic mode Bastion of Twilight.
That's correct.
I've got to say, it's a little bit disappointing to see that. I don't know if you remember this, but back when Blizzard were really talking about Cataclysm, this was a little bit before the beta, they were saying that they wanted to try and put one of these really hard mode bosses into every single dungeon. Unfortunately, they only seem to have done one.
It would have been nice if there was maybe more Sinistra type bosses, just because it drops such a good loot compared to the other bosses.
I recall Firelands doesn't have one of those, does it?
Sorry?
I'm fairly sure Firelands doesn't have a Sinestra style boss either, does it?
No, but Ragnaros does drop higher iron level loot than other bosses, if I'm correct. So it's sort of the same thing, even though it is also available in normal mode.
Yeah. I suppose the problem with it is that Blizzard really doesn't want to design anything that is not going to be done by 99.9% of people, yeah?
Yeah, that's really it. I mean, most people never see Sinistra, so Sinistra is also a boss fight where there is like loads of more wipes than there actually is kills. Well, obviously that is for like many bosses, but on Sinistra the percent is like 1.7, I think. Well, like 1.7% of the attempts are actually killing Sinistra, and there's loads of attempts being made every week. So
now, obviously, you're playing from a hardcore perspective, and of course, you're talking from a hardcore perspective as well. So,
yeah.
If you had to try and convince people that it was a good idea for Blizzard to spend development hours making content that most of the community will never see, what would the arguments be? I know that's a very tricky question.
I don't really know how to answer that, if I'm totally honest.
And I suppose that's the problem, isn't it? Because you're talking about using a lot of development time for bosses that people won't see, but it just seems to me, and this is the only argument I could really make as well, is that it comes down to always having something ahead of you, even if you can't attain it. Just perhaps the thought of attaining it, maybe the dream of attaining it, might keep you playing.
Yeah.
I think it's always good to have those awe-inspiring moments, or indeed awe-inspiring encounters in the game that you perhaps can't beat.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. If I wasn't like in a #1 guild, I don't know if I would really care that much.
Mm-hmm. It's a difficult one. It really, really is. You've got Blizzard, I suppose, trying to cater to everybody at the moment, and
yeah. Well, you have to take into account that most people who play WoW, they're not really of the hardcore kind.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many subscribers, and there's only so little amount of people who are ever going to see stuff. this is like the new hard mode stuff now. These fire elementals that are spawning right now, which I'm killing.
Do the fire elementals do anything specific?
Well, the boss is gaining stacks. Like now it went off with 2 stacks. Attacks deal an additional 80,000 fire damage and cause a blaze.
Ouch!
So if there's 10 stacks, tank is pretty much dead.
Yeah, in other words, he hits like an absolute truck, which is a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
I suppose it's kind of curious, really, to talk about the idea that casual players might actually object to this really hard content being created, even though they don't really have a chance of ever doing it. And I suppose it really comes down to some people seem to believe that the game should cater to them and all of the development should be aimed towards them.
Well, it would be nice if there was a bit of special like stuff, like some little tiny things which would make it like nicer for the more hardcore people, so to say.
So I suppose we can talk really about difficulty in general, and I'd like to know your opinions on the fact that 4.2 obviously has a huge number of nerfs to all of the normal mode content. Now you're a hardcore raider, so perhaps that doesn't really affect you too much, but how do you think that's going to actually affect the player base as a whole?
I don't really know, but I think that's personally quite a nice thing, because basically I would like the old content to go as fast as possible.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
So for me, that suits me totally fine. Even if they did that to heroic modes, I really would be, yeah, that would be pretty nice, in fact. Like, if I'm totally honest.
Yeah, so you could farm it nice and easily.
Yeah, exactly, because that's what we're here to do, really.
Absolutely. Do you think that perhaps reducing the difficulty level of the raid content too much is going to cause some people to, I don't suppose, become worse at the game, but it's not going to help them improve?
Well, because Fireland is coming, and I think everyone's going to want to try that out, and that is going to be quite a lot more difficult than the nerfed encounters here then. So I guess they're going to, they're going to still see that, and they're going to hit the wall, just as now, so I'm pretty sure that they're going to have what they want anyways.
We shall see if that turns out to be the case, and hopefully it does. Now, if you were to make a prediction, this is just entirely hypothetical.
Right.
What would you say the next raid is going to be after this?
Oh, you mean after Firelands?
Yeah.
I don't really know, and if I'm totally honest, I'm not much into this lore stuff, so I don't really know that much about that kind of stuff. I just play the game to compete, and that's really about it.
Yeah, I don't really blame you, honestly. Yeah. There's been a lot of speculation that it might be some kind of Caverns of Time, or possibly War of the Elements or something along those lines.
Well, as I said, I don't really know,
yet.
So it could be, but I guess all we can really do is just wait and see.
Absolutely. Shadow Lord's going down right there. Cho'Gall taking a reasonable amount of damage. Now this is a much longer fight by the looks of it.
Yeah, this is a very long fight.
Yeah, mana reserves are getting very, very low there.
Yeah, well, having Evocation back up now, so it should be good.
Wonderful thing about Arcane, Evocation, what, is 2-minute cooldown?
Yeah.
Kind of needed, really, let's be honest.
Well, if you want to spam Blast, yes, and that's what you need to if you want to do damage. So, yes, you do.
Gotta be done. Now, those of you who have not done this fight might be wondering what exactly that bar is below the Arcane Blast cast, and that is actually the corruption mechanic.
Yeah.
Now, you gain corruption by being hit by certain abilities.
Yes, you're getting corruption by getting hit by the crashes that the corrupting adherents, which just spawned, are doing. And then also you're getting corruption from getting hit by depravity, which the corrupting adherents are casting. And then in the last phase, you're constantly getting corruption by taking damage. So your corruption level is in general going higher there.
What do you think about these, I call them bar mechanics, because you've got a lot of these new abilities that just stack things up on a visual display in a bar, and Blizzard said that they really wanted to do more of that. What do you think about it? Is it good for
I think they're nice, because they're adding something new to the game, and they're adding something that you actually need to watch, rather than just tunneling the game. I mean, can't really say my job here has been very, very difficult, but if it was, I wouldn't really be able to do this shoutcasting either. I actually have to really focus on the game then.
That would be kind of awkward.
Yeah. But it's, yeah, it seems to be going good right now.
At 35% and falling quite nicely. Everyone on Paragon is doing extremely well.
Someone has already been failing with their corruption though, because we just saw Diamond Tier puking, and that basically meant that he already had high corruption level.
Yep.
There's some other people as well who are having it.
And
there you
those
see
actually
sickness.
cause interrupts, don't they? If I recall correctly.
They probably have been hit by the crash. You can be unlucky as well. And as you get mind controlled, you might get hit by the crash. And if that happens, then it's just really nothing you can do about it, because you can get mind controlled, then someone will interrupt you and you're going to get hit by it, and there's nothing really you can do about it. You still need to be interrupted from the mind control, otherwise the boss is going to gain massive stacks, and that's going to be even worse. So
Cho'Gall 30% at the moment. We should be entering the next phase.
Should be transferring to the last phase soonish.
Yep.
Trying to save full mana for there, so I can really go for the nuke once again. It's like a burnout phase.
Well, good damage coming in right here from the Paragon guys. Cho'Gall falling rapidly, under 30%, dealing with those fire elementals as quickly as possible. Also making sure that the ants don't reach Cho'Gall.
Right, 28% going to transition to 25. Should be happening very soon.
We're very, very close to that. Quick mana gem.
It's happening. Shadow will
go.
still spawn, so that needs to be killed. Otherwise, it's going to do massive damage to the raid. I hope everyone is damaging him.
Seems to be.
Now there's this stuff happening around. A lot of tentacles. Should be killing them.
Yep, so this is the Cthulhu-inspired stage of this particular encounter.
Maybe. Now there's the big tentacle spawning, which is heroic mode only.
Needs to deal with that as quickly as possible.
That's not really doing any damage, and we can't really kill it, so it's just there, but it just spawned, and yeah.
Let's stay away from that. 20% HP now, falling rapidly, and your corruption's going to be rising whenever you take damage in this phase.
Yeah. As you can see, my corruption bar is going up slightly all the time.
Yeah. And if you were to reach full corruption, what exactly would happen?
You get full corrupted. You can't heal, but you have instant casts, and they do 100% more damage.
So you can press 2 even more often?
A fire mage can actually abuse this here quite well and get full corruption basically for the whole fight, and you're going to be doing some pretty serious damage. We're talking about over 50k DPS then.
That's absolutely absurd, and of course, when he gets a killing blow, he's going to get away from that with Cauterize, so he stays alive a little longer.
Yeah.
Cho'Gall on 3%, falling rapidly.
Yeah, he's dead already. He's running to the middle now. He's going to drop through the floor, and that's really it.
A nice little scripted event for the end of that, which is what unlocks Sinestra, ladies and gentlemen. Cho'Gall on 1%, and down he goes. Nicely played there by Paragon, and no, I do mean absolutely no players going down.
Another interesting part of jumping down here, avoiding some lava stuff. Insane Goblin jump here right now.
Ah, clutch. Very, very nice. So, this is Lady Sinestra, clambering out of a little pit right there, a little jacuzzi going on right there. Looking a bit worse for wear. Very unusual model on that particular boss.
Right, the boss is starting at 60% HP here because she is weakened right now, also doing less damage. So we first have to go through this phase, then kill the stuff that has weakened her, and then after that we're going against her with a full strength with help of Kalen, which is going to grant us this massive 100% haste and basically infinite mana for the last phase. This buff lasts for 3 minutes, and that is going to be hilarious to see because I'm going to have some pretty fast casts going right now. Right, need to switch Trinket. Going for some Thoralian's Mirror because don't need mana in this fight, and it should be good to go.
Lady Sinestra only available on heroic mode once you've defeated everything. There's not a huge number of guilds that have killed this, needless to say.
That's damage meter from last fight. Boomkin owning. Mushrooms probably 30% of the damage done, as there was this huge AoE. So his Hunter's doing well, and Frost Death Knights.
Very nice. Good 14 million damage done by a single person there.
Yeah.
Just for comparison's sake, the original version of Ragnaros had 1 million HP, if I remember.
No, not really.
The original version, back in Molten Core, I thought it was 1 million. Maybe it was Nefarian.
I don't really remember that far back, if I'm totally honest, like numbers like that.
Yeah, I don't really blame you. I'm pretty sure it was 1 million.
It could have very well been.
Preparation going on right here, just getting ready to deal with Sinestra. Now, is this a fight that you tend to wipe on?
It's really hard to say. Sometimes we wipe, sometimes we don't. We still have like half of the raid ults, so I don't know. I hope it goes good.
Here's hoping that's the case. Just setting it very quickly right there. What's that? Right there. Problem solved. Kind of sad to see that a few people on that realm feel the need to do that, but there you go. There's always a few bad apples in the community, and here we go. Sinestra starting off at 60% HP. So what kind of abilities do you really need to be on the lookout for in the first phase?
There's these Twilight Slicer which is spawning, and that's basically the hard part of the encounter solve. So that's what we're going to have to be looking for.
I can't help but notice that Sinestra's losing HP at a very rapid rate.
There is these two blue orbs. That's what we have to be looking after.
Okay.
They're not really in danger for me right now. Should be okay. Just stand here and still keep nuking.
That's a lot of mana gone in the last 35 seconds.
Yeah, well, now we're going for Evocate. And 10% to new face. So we're going good right now. Probably going to be new slices coming up soon. Yeah, they are. To your right there, quite close to me. Need to maybe dodge a bit.
Sounds like a good idea. Won't want to be anywhere near that. 33% already on Sinestra. That's incredibly fast. I assume that phase 2 is not as quick as this.
Phase 2 is, but it's all about the last phase. Now it's the second phase already starting Mana Barrier. He's now got full HP again. And now we are moving back to AoE these adds into the spots. Let's go for a bit of AoE here. Not so insane as Arcane Mage, but maybe better than nothing.
Certainly do the job. No damage coming to Sinestra during this phase due to that barrier.
Yeah. There's going to be damage coming out soon.
I also can't help but notice everything seems to be on fire.
We just had a person die. We missed the achievement. Oh noes.
I'm sure you'll survive.
Trying to save up some mana here because I'm going for an egg nuke here in a moment.
Now, it says something about Twilight Essence. What is that all about?
The egg, the whelps. Mm-hmm. Basically, if they die, when they die at first, they need to die not on top of. If they die on top of each other, they're going to keep respawning.
Okay.
So the essence, it disintegrates them into the Twilight Essence, and it's basically going to be good then.
Right. Okay. So disintegrates into that, and if something dies over that, it just respawns it. Okay. Twilight Egg going down.
Yep. Evocate now, so we have full mana for the last phase of Mastery. Quickly switching Molten Armor as well, as we don't need mana in this phase at all.
Situation looking pretty good right now, and why is this last phase difficult?
Damage taken is 40% more.
Ouch.
And yeah, it's just huge damage taken, that's really. Now we have this nice buff. Gonna see only number 2 from this on. Slices have just spawned.
That is a lot of haste right there.
Yeah.
Massive damage coming in.
I'm under the global cooldown right now, so let's go for a bit of cooldowns right here.
So HP falling fairly rapidly as a direct result of that. You're not kidding about the raid damage. Anyone watching the raid frames right now is seeing health of the entire raid plummeting.
Slices again. Nowhere near me, it seems.
So everything seems to be looking pretty good. Aside from the massive damage that's coming in, is there anything else specific that players would have to watch out for in this phase?
Well, not really. There is this rack which is quite difficult to explain. I can explain it after this. Now I got the slicer, so now I need to move, and it should be going all right. Can even go for some DPS right here.
There we go. Dealt with quite nicely there.
No one's really died yet, so it's going good. I can explain the rack after the fight. It's like the main thing in this encounter.
No problem. So it looks like a fight that requires quite a lot of focus, needless to say. Huge amounts of raid damage, good God.
Even though it doesn't look like he's doing the fire here, or she, but she is.
She actually hits the entire raid with it.
Entire raid. And there's also these ads which we haven't. We have a paladin tanking. Mm-hmm. They need to be dealt with as well during this whole phase.
So that's for now under 40% HP. And I assume that nothing else ends up happening at lower HP.
We had one of our main raid healers die. We'll see how this is going to affect the raid.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
We just use Bloodlust here now.
Going for as much damage as possible and trying to burn it down. We're looking at 25%, falling rapidly right now. Massive raid damage. Let's see how Paragon is able to deal with this. Raid healers.
The healer is not even being combat risk for I don't know what reason. He should have been.
That's problematic, but Sinestro 15% HP now, and maybe one more piece of big raid damage. As long as that's handled quite nicely, this should be a kill, under 10%.
We have
now.
10 seconds left on the buff. Now if these slices don't fail, it should be good.
3% right now.
No one failed with them. It's going to be a kill. Good job.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Sinestro down with only one death. Very, very impressive, and that's a full clear of Bastion Twilight on heroic mode.